Alright guys, the day has finally arrived. A lot of you have been asking about this kit, the Pickology X2500. I had to order it from the UK Amazon site because in the US nobody was selling it. I have no idea why. It turns out it's a really nice kit, but before we get into it, let's get to the important stuff. We got a lot of giving away to do. I fell a little bit behind. And so the first thing we're going to be giving away will be this Death by Master. If you remember, this was pinned up by a locksmith named Justin Terrell. And we had 2,200 people apply. Nick Weaver, you are the lucky guy. PM your mailing address. We'll get this in the mail to you. But the word we were looking for was faultier. Now, not faultier as in more defective or more faulty, but faultier is actually a German word. It means sloth. But the interesting part of this word is it also has a slang meaning. So let me give you a tip. If you're sitting on the couch drinking a beer, watching a game, your wife walks in and she looks at you and goes, faultier, spits on the carpet. Well, she just called you a scumbag. So that would be a lazy animal or a scumbag. All right, the next one, we were looking at the Pick, the Executive Escape Kit. Put it back in the original wrapper and had a lot of guys looking for this. Almost 2,800 of you, and HD Merkins. You were the one, first pick. You had the word Snickersnee. So Snickersnee is, well, let's put it this way. Snickersnee is not something you want to pull out when you go to a gunfight. It's about a stabbing or a chopping knife, very old word, and I heard it used up in Massachusetts when I was visiting there. That's why I wrote the word down and decided to look it up. But anyway, HD Merkins, PM your address and I will get that Executive Escape Kit to you. And well, not really the last item. We got a lot of giving away to do today. This is the disc detainer lock sent in by a U.S. Marine, Jason, stationed in Japan. He saw me pick this, and we had, let's see here, almost 2,000 people sent in comments looking for this, and Strando 123, you're the guy. Kind of a neat comment, bulk Bolgan equals fake Hulk Hogan, and that's kind of right. A bogan is actually an Australian slang word. It means redneck or kind of like a hick. And I didn't know it until I looked up the definition. There's actually a show in Australia called Bogan Hunters where they go around looking for these guys that have, you know, flannel shirts and mullets. They're missing teeth. They got homemade tattoos. Just anyway, real hicks. You don't want to be a bogan. Okay, so you get that. If Strando 123, PM your address and we will take care of it. All right, let's take a look now. The Pickology X2500. Like I said, I ordered this from UK, so this postage screwing works both ways, both to and from UK. So the total kit was $42. I had to pay $11 to ship this small pouch, and then total cost is $53. If you're in the UK, you're probably going to get it for something closer to 30 pounds. It'd be quite a bit less expensive for the Pickology kit. You get this neat little book, and this is not a reprint. This is an actual, the book. They didn't Xerox it. This talks about, if you're a beginning picker, it talks about tools, how locks works. I looked through it, and it is really a pretty useful book, and it's only about maybe 24 pages. So it's good stuff. It's definitely worth reading, and I'm going to read it again before I send it out to the lucky winner of this Pickology X2500. Nice little case. It's a nylon zipper, so it doesn't have to take any lubrication or anything like that, and it barely fits in the frame, but I noticed right away it's shiny. But believe me, there's a lot more goodness about this kit. But rather than pull them out one at a time and fumble around, I'm going to go off camera, I'm going to lay them out, and we're going to take a look at these picks individually and look at some details. All right, I think we got this sorted into pick families that we can go over a little bit in detail. Let's first take a look at the tension wrenches. You get a total of 5 tension wrenches, and they kind of come in families themselves. We get 2 of exactly the same width, and they both have twists. The only difference is one of them is about 1.5 inches longer. These are both 125 thousandths wide, and that equates to the medium thickness if you're used to using windshield wipers. You have one, again, with no twist. I don't know why they did that, but this one is 10 thousandths, so this equates to the small windshield wiper. Probably the most useful one, at least to me, is this Z-wrench, because one of them is 12 thousandths, and the other end they've actually filed it a little bit to taper it, so we have two down to the small size, so we have two widths on the same tension wrench. And the last tension wrench is this undersized tulip. There probably needs to be one more bend in it if you hope to use this to pick a lock and then swing it around a doorknob. It just, unless it's a very small doorknob, this really won't clear it very well. But it is a tulip or a flower tension wrench. All right, let's take a look at the picks. This is the first kit that's kind of hit into a gray zone, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute. When you take a look at the handles, they're all very nicely done. This is a mild steel, so when we put a magnet to it, it's very, very magnetic, and that's important, and I'll explain in just a minute. They laser engrave their name in each of the handles. They are very ergonomic if you want to put your finger there, or if you want to put your finger on the front. They both fit your hand very, very well. Let's get back to that magnetic thing. When we try to put the magnet to the pick tip, it is very, very slightly magnetic. Now, a lot of guys say, well, that means it's not stainless steel, and that's not entirely true. There's different blends of stainless steel. The most common, the most durable, and the strongest is called ASTM 301 cold rolled steel. And all the high-end picks are made out of that, and they advertise just regular stainless steel. This one also says stainless steel, but it is not ASTM 301. This is probably 303 or 304. Now, why is that important? Well, I'll give you an example, a unit of measure, and that would be tensile strength. The 301 stainless steel has a tensile strength of between 250 and 280,000 psi. Doesn't mean a lot until you compare it to the 303 or the 304 steel, which has a tensile strength of only 80,000 psi. That means it's much more malleable, it's bendable. You really don't want the bending characteristics called ductility. You don't want a ductile material in a pick. Well, why do they do it? Well, it's still stainless steel, it's still fairly tough material, but it's easier on the machinery, it's faster to produce, it's easier to polish, and it's still pretty tough material. It's also a cheaper material. These are all, by the way, 26 thousandths of an inch, and if you look closely, it should come to no surprise, particularly at this price point, that you're going to have to do some sanding, but that's true for all commercial picks. That's not really a differentiator or deciding point. All right, you get a total of 5 hooks, ranging from a standard hook all the way to a very deep Hulstel hook. They're all shaped pretty well in varying degrees of depth, so you can pick a wild variety of locks, provided they're not, of course, paracentric or European-style locks. You get a deforced diamond, and I really like to look at these closely to make sure they're shaped correctly, and this one is. They did a really good job on this. I couldn't be happier with that deforest. Okay, those are all of your hooks, and I can't imagine any other hook that you would possibly need. Then we jump into the Rake family, and this is pretty interesting stuff. This one, and you're going to see this repeated as more is better, so that's going to become a theme here. So this is kind of like a W rake, except you'll notice that the angle is forward on here. So this is not a W rake or even a copy of it. This is not a kinetic tool. This is a quad peak, like a 4-humped Bogota. It's not quite as deep, but it's as close to a Bogota as you can get and not be a Bogota. And then they threw in a free extra hump. You get a city rake, and this is the pick that I like to really look at closely because there are so many rounded edges to clean up. These sometimes leave a nasty shear line, and this one doesn't have any of that. They did a really good job on that one. You get a couple of, well, for lack of a better word, snake rakes. So let's take a look at those real quick. They're a little bit more than snake rakes. That bottom one is like a snake rake with an extra hump, if you notice that, but it's not going to hurt anything. It's going to work exactly like a snake rake. The top one is, I don't know, like a half of a ripple pick. It's not bad, and it would be probably like a sparrow's worm in terms of effect. It's the pitch and the depth is almost identical to a worm. So you get some good rakes there. If you don't like those, you have 2 more to choose from. You have, the bottom one looks almost like a city rake, but you see they're all even, and we'll come back to him in a minute. And then the top one's almost identical but smaller, but I can't imagine that that one would be any more effective than, say, the City Rake. But you've got him. You've got him. We're going to come back to that guy in just a minute. Let's first take a look at what I call the diamond family. Let me turn these over. You notice we have a normal half diamond on the bottom, and it's shaped very nicely. It's nice and clean. And then we have his bigger brother, the large half diamond, and then a pick I've never seen before, the large double diamond, which is probably twice as good as that one, and maybe four. I'm joking. I've never seen it. I can't imagine this will work any better than the large half diamond, either for raking, zipping, or for picking dimple locks. Now we're going to jump into the ball family. Again, this theme of more is better. Let's get these guys flipped over here. I got them out of order. Sorry about that. All right, we have the half ball. Again, very nicely done. Then we got the complete ball. And then we have the double half ball. So he's twice as good as him. Again, I don't know why. And then the ultimate. This is the magic pick, I guess. The 5-ball rake. Let's take a look at him, just for the sake of making fun. Come on, baby, focus. The only effect is going to be along the top. So when you rake the lock, either a pin tumbler or a wafer lock, that's the only difference that you're going to have. But now you'll notice we're going to pull this guy up. And if I get the camera to focus, you'll notice that that ball fits in there almost perfectly. Just a little bit different, but not enough. So the raking effect from both of these on no matter what type of lock is going to be virtually identical. And then the last item, we get the old Harpoon. Now I got to say the shaft is nice, but the tip was going to need considerable work. It's much too large, and if you look at there, it's not really very sharp. So when you try to dig that into the key, it doesn't even dig into my finger. There's nothing sharp about this. It's going to take quite a bit of work to get him into shape. So okay, let's just do a recap, because this is a lot to take in. This is the gray zone. This is probably 303 or 304 stainless, so it is stainless steel. That's a good thing. You got a good selection of picks. You got lots of hooks. You got lots of rakes, so if you begin with raking, you can move to hooks and you won't have to buy anything extra. So that's a good thing. Total cost on these is about $2 a pick, which is a pretty fair price for the quality of the pick that I'm seeing here. The negatives are, of course, it's 26 thousandths of an inch, so it's not going to work in paracentric keyways, or probably not going to the majority of European locks. Yes, it's stainless steel, but it is not 301 cold rolled stainless steel. So this material is not nearly as tough as some of the many of the other higher end picks. So I consider that to be a negative. And then the last thing is there's just so many odd picks here. By the time you take out all these weird doubles and the 5 balls and the double of the same thing, it's just there's a lot of fluff here that you're really never going to use. You're never going to pick it up. So I consider that to be just a little bit of a waste of money. This is a hard one to call, fellas. And if you live in the UK where you can get this for around 30 pounds, it's probably not a bad deal. If you live anywhere else, or if you pick European or paracentric keyways, this is probably not the pick set for you. By the time you throw in the extra shipping to the United States, you're paying considerably more per pick. So I don't think this would be the pick set of choice for a beginner. All right, so that's the kit. If you'd like to have it, go ahead and send a comment, and I'll leave the window open for 24 hours. After that time, we'll have the computer randomly pick one of you, and as long as you live on the planet Earth, I will be happy to mail this to you. All right, fellas, let's move on to one last giveaway. We have reached a milestone. You recall that every 100 contributors, I do a giveaway. So we did one for 100, one for 200, and now we have, last night, the 300th person hit the fan funding button. So we have a total of 100 people inside of here. I'm kind of keeping it moving so nobody can read their name, because someone read their name last time and they didn't get picked. How disheartening. I'm very sorry about that. So in a moment, I'm going to draw, and what you're going to get is a custom pinned American lock, and you're going to have fun picking this. Trust me, because you're also going to get a Sparrows. This is my extra Sparrows kit. It was actually in my car. It is brand new, very little use, practically brand new. So you're going to get those two things when I draw you out of here. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, because these 300 people are the ones who have been paying for all of these kits so we can continue to do these reviews. And let me try just to get one out of here. And it is, let me see if I can read this knot through the camera lens. Fred Zaida, who, by the way, is a patron. Thank you very much, Fred. And all 299 or 99 other ones, guys, I really appreciate it. You're taking the pressure off of my credit card and off of my marriage by paying for everything that we're doing on these reviews for this lockpicking consumer report series. So there you go, fellas. Thanks for your time. Stay safe. Stay legal.